Hey everyone, Idaho Prepper here. As you can see, I'm in front of my garden here, just trying to get all of this squared away before I get too busy. I can't do it, but we're deep into April or May, sorry, and I'm trying to get everything in this garden before I miss the seeding season. But as you know, I am a painting contractor, and this is my busy time of year. And as because I have so many projects going on here at the homestead, I have to try to make some time for them. So, kind of the schedule I tend to follow is I do about 3 weeks on, and then 1 week off. So, the average duration of like one of my jobs is about 2 to 3 weeks. But I just try to schedule it that way. So I have another job starting Monday, so I got to get this done before the end of the week. So kind of in a little bit of a rush, but I went ahead. I had these two, as you can see, these two boxes back here, and I am titling this video my survival garden, and that's pretty much essentially what it is. I'm not like a one of these hardcore gardeners. However, gardening, does require quite a bit of research and time. But it's funny. I was talking to somebody last week because they were like really into gardening, and I said, I had mentioned like, it would be a really good job is if you're really into gardening, especially you've kind of mastered it in your particular area. A good job would just to be like a consultant, like somebody pay you a certain amount of money. And they come out, you tell them what you want, you kind of tell them what your sun situation is. They can do some soil samples, figure out, what you have going, the best place to position your garden. And then you just tell them like what you want, and they can kind of give you, the gist of like, this is what you do, get you started. And it's funny because the person kind of said like, well, we thought about that, but we just don't want people who aren't completely like emotionally connected with their garden to be gardening. I'm thinking, well, not all of us are, a bunch of hippies that have a ton of time to just, stay at home hippies to stay home and obsess on our gardens. So, anyways, that's kind of the standpoint. That's where I'm coming from with this garden. I'm just trying to keep it simple. I'm not doing anything like super weird, like esoteric type gardening where I got crazy vegetables that nobody's heard of and herbs going. It's just real simple. I got tomatoes, bell peppers, cucumbers. I have some broccoli. I have some corn going. However, I don't think I'm going to be doing corn this year. But we got quite a bit. Most of it's all pretty much right in this little greenhouse here. This is like kind of a small greenhouse that I was given as a gift, and I set it up, and it's nothing too big, but we don't have that big of a garden, so it actually accommodates our starters really well. So we got all the starters in there. Plus, the thing I like about this greenhouse is that I can keep it outside, and the plants kind of get acclimated and adjusted to natural light. And they get full sunlight. They get kind of adjusted to this particular area. So when I go ahead and transfer them, it's not going to be total shock. Whereas if you're keeping your plants, if you're growing your light, your starters, you're starting them with like specially synthetic light. It's a really tricky time getting those acclimating those plants to the natural light. So I did that a few years, and it was just a total failure. I just had a lot of die-offs trying to do that transition. So now I'm just I start my seeds in the ground when possible, and then the stuff that I have to do as starters, I'm just going to keep in this greenhouse here, right here. So I'll share with you a little bit like what I learned. And like I said, this is my survival garden, and it's literally what the seed packet I'm using is from Survival Garden. I think the company is Open Seed Vault. I've never used them, but believe it or not, I tend to buy my seeds in these kits and what I really like about this kit is that it was real straightforward straightforward as far as like the type of vegetables they put in here. I mean, it's just tomato, lettuce, you know, it's not crazy strands of different vegetables, just really basic, hearty strands of vegetables. So that's what I liked about that. It's just real basic, kind of the basic list of vegetables, you know, cauliflower, there's beets in here, all sorts of stuff. The other thing I like about these is, you know, it's because it's kind of a survival garden. I'm supporting a company that from the looks of it seem to be pretty much in line with you know, the prepping standpoint. Everything's made in America, and also, and the key thing to this is that they're all nicely sealed, individually sealed and contained in this mylar, so it makes for long-term storage. So I don't, probably not even going to use this whole package for my garden this year. So when I'm done with the seeds that I need, I just seal it up and then put it back into my pantry, just, you know, so that way they're already in mylar, so they're protected from the light, and it's insulated and relatively protected from the heat. So that's another reason why I use these. They also come with a just a little booklet on exactly how to do the vegetables, and it's really straightforward, like basic stuff, because, you know, like I said, I just don't, you know, if you're anything like me, I just, you know, I want a garden. I want to prepare for whatever's, you know, this crazy country is going to throw at us, but I just don't have that much time. I'd love to be able to have that much time, but, you know, I just don't. And plus, considering all the other projects, I got chickens, I got a lot of repair projects around the house that I got to do. It's just something I just don't have a lot of time to sit around and be studying and researching. So, but I will kind of share with you what I'm doing, and, you know, all I can really do is kind of tell you how it pertains to my particular region here in North Idaho, which isn't too much different than anywhere else, unless maybe you live in California, and in that case, you know, you just throw anything in the ground, it's gonna grow. But here we have, you know, we have time constraints and stuff like that, and you got to be careful about the freezing temperatures and stuff like that. So, but as you can see, I put these boxes in the back. These are new raised beds, and the reason I'm using, if you can tell, they're a little bit taller than these ones, and that's because it's something I just learned, is that tomatoes have an 18-inch root base. So if you're going to be growing tomatoes, which is a pretty common vegetable that people grow, one, you're going to need to start, well, yeah, you're going to need to start them, especially if you're here in North Idaho. You're going to need to start them in starters in a greenhouse, and then transplant them into the ground. And then you're going to want to make sure that they have a at least an 18-inch root base, deep place. So just make sure, because that they have at least 18 inches of dirt to you know, spread out their roots. As far as the fertilizers go, you know, you can get totally crazy with that, and I've tried a lot of different ones, and I'm trying to stay away from synthetic fertilizers this year, like Miracle-Gro. So this year I'm doing a fertilizer. It's called fish. It's like a fish emulsion. Here, I'll show you real quick. Or just basic fish fertilizer. And so this was recommended by a channel that I follow, Millennial Gardener. So he's got a lot of good tips on his channel. I'll make sure to leave a link in the description for that. But the good thing about fish fertilizer is it's like the organic Miracle-Gro, and it also helps with just transferring your starters into their new beds. It just kind of allows for an easy take to the soil. So the only downsides to it, from what I hear, is that, you know, it stinks. It's pretty much the only downside, is it just has it smells like fish, because it's exactly what it is. It's just like fermented, ground up fish. So it can be a little stinky. So if you're in an area that, I don't know, has a lot of bears or something, or a lot of critters, you're going to definitely want to make sure that you have a good cage around your garden, because it will bring in it'll bring in the critters. But that's pretty much it as far as the downsides to it, so from what I hear. But this is my first year using it, so definitely looking forward to seeing how that goes. You know, but as far as everything else, you know, I try to keep my peppers separate from everything else, because I think peppers are the only thing that tend to be a little particular about what they're planted next to. I'm probably going to be staying away from corn, because corn is just a pain. It's just a pain in the butt to grow. It requires a lot of fertilizer, which is expensive. You got to fertilize it all the time, and the pollination process of corn is really difficult. To get really good yields and get like a full cob of corn with like full kernels, it's kind of tricky. It takes a lot of work. You end up having to like hand pollinate each ear of corn. So I'll probably not do corn this year, but I always do my pickling cucumbers, because I like to do pickles every summer. I might do some watermelons, like smaller watermelons this year. Definitely zucchini, and you know, pretty much all those vegetables will grow in basic, you know, 8-inch garden beds with like a 20-20-20 fertilizer, or 16-16-16 fertilizer. You can just blend it in. This topsoil that I have in is I forget what it's like, oh gosh, I think it's like 70-30 or something. But 70% soil, 30% horse manure, and then they put some bark in there just for water retention. And that's the soil I use. And then, like I said, this year I'm probably just going to be doing the fish fertilizer, and not doing any other kind of fertilizers. So we'll see how it goes. I'll keep it kind of updated on the garden, but you know, definitely just wanted to make this video and you know, I guess empathize with those preppers out there who want to do a garden but just don't want to get all geeked out on it, and you just don't have a lot of time to be, you know, becoming a garden expert. So but for any of those of you who are watching this and you know, you do have some helpful tips, I'd love to hear it, so make sure to leave it in the comment section. And until the next one, stay prepared.